Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ma'am Jeros Piador. My name is Junil R. Pueblos, your student in CA-200 Section F. Today, I'm going to report the Module 3. Study on Institutional Agencies in the Philippines, Code of Calintao, Bilibid Prison, San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm, Iwahig Penal Colony, Correctional Institute for Women, New Bilibid Prison, Davao Penal Colony, Sablayan Penal Farm, Leyte Regional Prison, Provincial Jail System, and Public Attorney's Office or PAO. Institutional Agency in the Philippines. So we have government. The Philippine Government, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, National Economic Development Authority, Philippine Statistics Authority, Department of Finance, Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Tourism, Department of Public Works and Highways, Department of Labor and Employment, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Trade and Industry. The last one is Open Data Philippines. The Philippine Government. The Philippine government takes place in an organized framework of a presidential, representative, and a democratic republic whereby the president is both the head of state and the head of the government. This system revolves around three separate and sovereign yet interdependent branches. The legislative branch, the lawmaking body, the executive branch, the law enforcing body, and the judicial branch, the law interpreting body. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The Central Banking Awards highlight the outstanding performance and achievements of individuals and organizations within the central banking community. The upgrade of bsp.gov.ph is integral to our broader initiative to bring the BSP closer to the Filipino people. National Economic Development Authority. The government's economic recovery package must be accelerated to support business and enable them to retain or employ new workers. The National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA. Philippine Statistics Authority. The Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA granted clearance for the conduct of ex-post evaluation of the Angat Water Utilization and Aqueduct Improvement Project or AWUAIP, Phase Number 2 by the National Economic and Development Authority, NEDA, in collaboration with Test Consultants Incorporation, TCI. Department of Finance. The Department of Finance or DOF is the government steward of sound fiscal policy. It formulates revenue policies that will ensure funding of critical government programs that promote welfare among our people and accelerate economic growth and stability. We have Department of Foreign Affairs. See, we are all familiar about this Department of Foreign Affairs. The Department of Foreign Affairs is the prime agency of our government, responsible for the pursuit of the state foreign policy, and also the nerve center for a foreign severe worthy of the trust and pride of every Filipino. And also we have the Department of Tourism. The Department of Tourism or DOT is mandated to encourage, promote, and develop tourism as a major socio-economic activity to generate foreign currency and local employment as to spread the benefits of the tourism to a wider segment of the population with the support, assistance, and corporations for both the private and sectors. We have Department of Public Works or Highways or it's so familiar DPWH are currently responsible for the planning, design, construction, maintenance, and infrastructure, especially the national highways, flood controls, and water resources development system, and other public works in accordance with national development objectives. Department of Labor and Employment. The Department of Labor and Employment is mandated as the primary policy-making, programming, coordinating, and administrative entity of the executive branch of the government in the field of labor and employment. We have Department of Environment and Natural Resources. We all know, guys, na the meaning of Department of Environment and Natural Resources is DENR. DENR is responsible for conservation, management, and development of the country's environment and natural resources. It shall ensure the proper use of these resources and protection of the environment within the framework of sustainable development. We have Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI. The DTI is responsible for realizing the country's goal competitive and innovative industry and services sector that contribute to inclusive growth and employment generation. Open Data Philippines. Open Data Philippines aimed to institutionalize good governance by making government data available to the public. This involves collating data sets from different government agencies, cleaning them for the better understandability, and uploading them to a website in open formats. So we have the DOJ, Bureau of Correction. So we have DTI, PhilHealth, and also BOI, or Board of Investment. Next slide, we have Philippine Statistics Authority. So we have here the USAID, DTI, so responsive, world class. Philippine Correctional System. Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG. Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD. Department of Justice, or DOJ. City, Municipal, and Provincial Jails as or BGMP. Children in Conflict with Law, or CICL. National Prisoner Statistics Program, or NPS. So we have here Code of Kalintao. So as you can see in the picture, this is the Code of Kalintao. So I will submit. This is the Code of Kalintao. And also this is the map, as you can see. The Code of Raha Kalintao was a supposed legal code in the epic history of Maragtas that is said to have been written in 1433 by Dato Kalintao, a chief on the island of Negros in the Philippines. The code is now believed by many historians to have been a hoax, and that it actually been written in 1913 by C.A. Marco as a part of his historical fiction Las Antiguas Leyendas de la Isla de Negros. In English, the ancient legends of the in the island of Negros, which he attributed to a priest named Jose Marco. And this is at Eudoro Andala Goncillo. In 1990, Filipino historian Eudoro Goncillo described the code as a deputed document. Despite doubts on its authenticity, some history texts continue to present it as a historical fact. Laws of the Kalintao Code. Article 1. We have, you shall not kill, neither shall you steal, neither shall you do harm to the aged, lest you incur the danger of death. All those who infringe this order shall be condemned to death by being drowned in the river or boiling water. Article 2. You shall obey, lest all your debts with the headman be met punctually. He who does not obey shall receive for the first time 100 lashes. If a debt is large, he shall be condemned to thrust his hand in boiling water thrice. For the second time, he shall be beaten to the death. Article 3. Obey you. Let no one of women that are very young no more than he can support, nor be given to excessive lust. He who does not comply with, obey, and observe this order shall be condemned to swim for 3 hours for the first time, and for the second time, to be beaten death with sharp thorns. Article number 4. Observe and obey. Let no one disturb the quiet of the graves. When passing by the caves and trees, when they are when they are. Give respect to them. He who does not observe this shall be killed by ants or beaten death with thorns. Article 5. You shall obey. He who exchanges for food, let be always done in accordance with his word. He who does not comply shall be beaten for 1 hour. He who repeats the offense shall be exposed for 1 day among ants. Article number 6. To refer sites that are held in respect, such as those of trees of recognized worth and other sites. He who fails to comply shall pay with 1 month's work, gold, or in honey. Article 7. These shall be put to death. He who kills trees in venereal appearance, who shoot arrows at night at old men and women, he who enters the houses of the headman without permission, he who kills a shark or a stray cayman. Article number 8. Slavery for a dome, a certain period of time, shall be suffered by those who steal away the women of the headman, by him who keep ill-tempered dogs that bite the headman, by him who burns the fields of another. Article number 9. All these shall be beaten for 2 days, who sing while traveling by night, kill the manual, tear the document belonging to the headman, and malicious liars, or who mock the dead. Article number 10. It is decreed an obligation that every mother teach secretly to her daughters matters pertaining to lust and prepare them for womanhood. Let not men be cruel, not punish their women when they catch them in the act of adultery. Whoever shall disobey shall be killed by being cut to pieces and thrown to the caimans. Article number 11. These shall be burned, who by strength or cunning have mocked at unscathed punishment or have killed young boys, or tried to steal away the women of the elders. Article number 12. These shall be drowned. All who interfere with their superiors or their owners or masters, all those who abuse themselves through their lust, those who destroy their anitos or idols by breaking them or throwing them down. Article number 13. All these shall be exposed to ants for a half-day, who kill black cats during a new moon, or steal anything from the chiefs of Algorangs, however small the object may be. Article number 14. These shall be made slave for life, who have beautiful daughters, and deny them to the sons of chiefs, and with bad faith hide them away. Article 15. Concerning beliefs and superstitions, these shall be beaten who eat the deceased flesh of beasts which they hold in respect, or the herb which they consider good, who wound or kill the young of the manual or the white monkey. Article number 16. The fingers shall be cut off of all those who break idols of wood and clay in their alagans and temples, of those who destroy the daggers of the gallons or break the drinking jars of the latter. Article number 17. These shall be killed, who profane sites where idols are kept, and sites where are buried the sacred things of their dewatas and headmen. He who performs his necessities in those places shall be burned. Article number 18. Those who do not cause these rules to be obeyed. If they are headmen, they shall be put to death by being stoned and crushed. And if they are agorans, they shall be placed in rivers to be eaten by sharks and caimans. And that's the last article, the article 18. Old Bilibid Prison. On June 25, 1865, the Old Bilibid Prison, the first national penitentiary in the country, was established in Manila under Spanish royal decree. It was divided into two sections: the carcel section, housing 600 inmates, and the presidio, accommodating 527 prisoners. About 7 decades later, due to increasing population and crime rate, Commonwealth Act number 67 was enacted. A new Bilibid Prison, or NBP, was constructed in Muntinlupa, Rizal in 1936 with a budget of 1 million pesos and initial land area of 551 hectares. And this is a picture of New Bilibid Prison. As you can see, guys, that is we will go back here. This is the Muntinlupa. This is the New Bilibid Prison was constructed in Muntinlupa, Rizal in 1936. So as you can see here, everyone in the picture. The formal prison system in the Philippines started only during the Spanish regime, where an organized corrective service was made operational. Established in 1847, pursuant to Section 1708 of the Revised Administrative Code and formally opened by a royal decree in 1865. The Old Bilibid Prison was constructed as the main penitentiary in Oroqueta Street, Manila, and designed to house the prison population of the country. The prison became known as a carcel-wide presidio correctional and could accommodate 1,127 prisoners. The carcel was designed to house 600 prisoners who were segregated according to class, sex, and crime, while the presidio could accommodate 527 prisoners. Plans for the construction of the prisons were first published on September 12, 1859, but it was not April 10, 1866 that the entire facility was completed. The prisons occupied a quadrangular piece of land 180 meters long on each side, which formerly a part of the Mihalik Estate in the heart of Manila. In-house a building for the offices and officers and quarters of prisons warden. The 15 buildings or department for prisoners that were arranged in a radial way to form spokes. The central tower were formed the hub. Under this tower was the chapel. There were full cell houses, the isolated prisoner, and the 4 isolated buildings located on the 4 corners of the walls, which served as kitchen, hospital, and stores. The prison was divided into middle by a thick wall. One half of the enclosed space was assigned to presidio prisoners and the other half to carcel prisoners. So it was divided, guys, into two. The carcel and also let's go back here. The carcel and the presidio. The carcel section and also the presidio. As you can see here, this is the Bureau of Prisons, or BOP. Oh yes, Bureau of Prisons. This is the New Bilibid Prison. Way back 18. Way back September 12, 1859. In 1908, concrete modern 200-bed capacity hospitals as well as new dormitories for the prisoners were added. A carpentry shop was organized within the confines of the facility. For some times, it became a trademark for line workmanship of furniture made by prisoners. At this time, sales of handicrafts were done. The institutions and inmates were compensated depending on the availability of funds. As a consequence, inmates often had to sell through the retail or barter the products. So take note, on August 21, 1869, the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm in Zamboanga City was established to confine Muslim rebels and recalcitrant political prisoners opposed to Spanish rule. The facility, which faced the Hulu Sea, had Spanish-inspired dormitories and was originally set on 1,414 hectares, a sprawling state. And this is the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. According to historical accounts, the San Ramon Prison was established in southern Zamboanga. And take note, San Ramon established on August 21, 1870 through a royal decree promulgated in 1869, established during the tenure of Governor General Ramon Blanco, whose patron saint the prison was named after. The facility was originally established for persons convicted of political crimes. Considered the oldest penal facility in the country, prisoners in San Ramon were required to do agricultural work. And this is the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm in Zamboanga City, built on August 21, 1870. So as you can see in the picture, guys, this is San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm in Zamboanga City. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, the prisoners in San Ramon were hastily released, the buildings destroyed. In 1907, the American administration reestablished the prison farm in 1912. General John Pershing, Chief Executive of the Department of Mindanao and Sulu, classified the institution as a prison and penal colony under confined people sentenced by the courts under its jurisdiction. Under Pershing's supervision, several buildings with a capacity for 600 prisoners were constructed. After several years, the colony became practically self-supporting with 75,000 coconut trees, which were planted at the beginning of Pershing's administration, contributing to the colony's self-sufficiency. Aside from coconuts, rice, corn, papaya, and other crops were also cultivated. And this is the coconut farm, guys. This is the coconut farm in Zamboanga. As you can see in the picture, San Ramon Penal Farm in Zamboanga City. On November 1, 1905, Reorganization Act Number 1047 was approved, creating the Bureau of Prisons under the Department of Commerce and Police, integrating the old Bilibid Prison, San Ramon Penal Colony, and Iwahig Penal. The Philippine Coconut Authority took over management of the coconut farm from San Ramon. In 1995, Congresswoman Maria Clara Lobregat, take note, proposed the transfer of San Ramon Prison to Bungiao Town in mountain area of Zamboanga to give way to a special economic zone. Before the reconstruction of San Ramon Prison, the Americans established in 1904 the Luhit Penal Settlement, now Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm, on a vast reservation of 28,072 hectares. It would reach a total area of 40,000 hectares in the late 1950s. Located in the westernmost part of the archipelago, far from the main town to the confined incorrigibles, with little hope of rehabilitation. The area was expanded to 41,007 hectares by virtue of Executive Order Number 67 issued by the Governor Newton Gilbert on October 15, 1912. Other penal colonies were established during the American regime. On November 27, 1929, the Correctional Institution for Women, or CIW, was created under Act Number 3579 to provide separate facilities for women offenders, while the Davao Penal Colony in Southern Mindanao was opened in 1932 under Act Number 3732. And this is the Iwahig Penal Colony. This facility was established during the American occupation. It was It was, however, during the Spanish regime, the Puerto Princesa were designated as a place where offenders sentenced to banishment were executed. A specific area of Puerto Princesa was selected as the site for a correctional facility. The American military carved out a prison facility in the rainforest of Puerto Princesa. The institution had for its first superintendent Lieutenant George Wolfe, a member of U.S. Expeditionary Force, who later became the first prisons director. And this Daywag Prison's penal farm picture. O Governor Luke Wright authorized the establishment of penal colony in the province of Palawan on November 16, 1904. This penal settlement, which originally comprised an area of 22 acres, originally served as a depository, comprised an depository for prisoners who could not be accommodated at the Bilibid prison in Manila. In 1906, however, the Department of Commerce and Police, which later became the Department of Public Instruction, moved to turn the institution into the center of penal colony, supervised in accordance with trends at the time. Through the department's efforts, the Philippine Commission of the United States Government passed Act Number 1723 in 1907 classifying the settlement as a penal institution. This is the picture. The settlement was a first beset by attempted escapes, but under the supervision of Colonel John R. White of the Philippine Constabulary, who would become superintendent of Ihaw in 1906, the colony became a successful settlement. A merit system was devised where prisoner and vocational activities were offered. These included farming, fishing, forestry, carpentry, and hospital paramédical work. Prisoners could choose the vocational activities they wanted. In 1955, Administrative Order Number 20 was promulgated by the President and implemented by the Secretary of Justice and the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources. This order allowed the distribution of colony lands for cultivation by deserving colonists. The order also contained a list of qualifications for colonists who wish to apply for a lot to cultivate, the conditions for the settlers' stay in this land, loan requirement and marketing for settlers' produce. Lands granted did not exceed 6 hectares. On August 16, 1959, a committee was created by President Carlos P. Garcia to study the state of national prisons. Accordingly, prisoners in Ihaw were divided into two groups. The settler colonists are those engaged in farming for their own benefit. They are the one whose application for land to cultivate have been approved. The government furnishes the land and initial requirements for tools, dwellings, and beasts of burden. They are required to reimburse expenditures incurred for the maintenance and that of their families out of the products of their farms. Upon their release from the colony, they receive whatever amount of money they have credited in their favor, after deducting the obligation they have. Iwahig is subdivided into 4 zones and districts. Central Colony with an area of 14,700 hectares, Santo Lucia with 9,685 hectares, Montebel with 8,000 hectares, and Inagawan with 13,000 hectares. Recent developments and presidential proclamations have dramatically reduced the size of the prison reservation in Iwahig. So, Correctional Institution for Women, or CIW. In a report dated January 22, 1959 submitted to a committee created by Administrative Order Number 287 by the President of the Philippines, it was noted that before a separate building was constructed especially for women prisoners, all female convicts were confined in the old Bilibid prison on Ascaraga Street, Manila. The male prisoners were confined in dormitories near the women's quarters. Because of these conditions, vocational activities of the women prisoners were limited to embroidery. And this is the correctional institution for women, and also for the Department of Justice and Bureau of Corrections. In 1931, here is the correctional institution for women. In February 14, 1931, the women prisoners were transferred from the old Bilibid prison to the building specially constructed for them. Its old name, Women's Prison, was changed to Correctional Institution for Women. This was in keeping with emerging trends in penology, which emphasized correction rather than punishment. Convicts were brought back into the social mainstream, adjusted and rehabilitated with a better outlook in life. This is the Bureau of Correction picture. May correction institution for women, or CA-200. As you can see here, it's all women. More than a year later, reconstruction is completed, and on September 26, 1936, a new building erected. Over the decades, the number of inmates ballooned exponentially, but the facilities remained the same. The CIW, or inmates, grew to more than 2,000 for 270 inmates in 1931. Dormitories with single beds had to be replaced with 2 bunk beds that could accommodate for 4 people at a time. So it's a picture, guys. So as you can see in the picture, it's all women. It's all girls. And their t-shirt is Bureau of Correction. When they became ill, the women were confined in a separate building, which served as a hospital with nurses and prison physicians. When women prisoners needed surgery, they were operated at the Bilibid prison. After the operation, they were transferred to the infirmary for convalescence. Prison authorities were aware of the condition that women prisoners had to endure. Consequently, the transfer of the women to a separate site became inevitable. After a series of negotiations started by a prison director, Ramon Victorio, the Philippine Registration Pass Republic Act No. 3579 in November 1929. It authorized the transfer of all women inmates building in Welfareville and Manolo Rizal, and appropriated 6,000 pesos for the move. This is a picture, guys. CIW, according to a Senate report, occupied 18 hectares. The original structure was a one-story building which housed the office, the brigades, mess hall, kitchen, chapel, infirmary, bathrooms, and employees' restrooms. The building has a central courtyard with trees and flowering plants. The prisoners' vocational activities were expanded to include poultry and piggery, as well as cultivation of crops, flowers, and fruits. Living quarters for the institution's employees were later constructed in a compound during Japanese occupation. The CIW, despite a drastic reduction in the number of its employees, continued with its work. A number of female military prisoners were also confined in the institution. They were later freed by U.S. Army. After the war, CIW resumed its normal operations. Weekly catechism classes were introduced. A dental clinic was built. Local telephones were installed in the guards' quarters. The Bureau of Public Work made major repairs of main building, and a workshop and infirmary were constructed for the inmates' use. The infirmary during that time could accommodate around 16 patients. In 2000, a new 4-story building was constructed in the Department of Public Works within the grounds of CIW. It is the growing congregation in the facility. The CIW, with a capacity for only 200 inmates, had accommodated 1,000 inmates. Then we have here the new Bilibid prison. The projected increase in the prison population prompted the government to plan and develop a new site for the national penitentiary. The growing urbanization of Manila and constant lobbying by conservative groups fueled the idea of transferring the old Bilibid prison to a new site, which at the time was considered remote and on the outskirts of urban center. Accordingly, Commonwealth Act No. 67 was enacted, appropriating 1 million pesos for the construction of a new national prison in Muntinlupa. On November 15, 1940, all inmates of the Bilibid prison in Manila. So this is a picture of a new Bilibid prison, Kawanihan, Bilangguan. So you can see the picture, guys. The new institution had a capacity of 3,000 prisoners and it was officially named the New Bilibid Prison on January 22, 1941. The prison reservation had an area of 588 hectares, part of which arable. The prison compound proper had an area of 300 by 300 meters, or a total of 9 hectares. It was surrounded by 3 layers of barbed wire. The institution became the maximum security compound in the 20s and continues to be so. The camp houses not only death convicts and inmates sentenced to life term, but also those with numerous pending cases, multiple convicts and sentences of more than 20 years. So this is a picture, guys, of New Bilibid prison. And it's so big, so wide. After World War II, theme was a surfeit of steel matting in the inventory, and it was used to improve the security fence. In the late 20s, fences were further reinforced with concrete slabs. In the 1980s, the height of the concrete wall was increased and another facility was constructed, 2.5 kilometers from the main buildings. This became known as Camp Sampaguita of the medium security camp. On January 22, 1941, the electric chair was transferred to Bilibid prison. The death chamber was constructed in the rear area of camp where the mode of execution was through electrocution. Today, it is a security zone where convicted of drug offenses are held. So this is a picture inside the new Bilibid prison. The NBP expanded by the construction of new security facilities. These were the medium security camp, which was used as military stockade during martial law and minimum security camp, whose first site was Christine Bongkang Liwayway. This was transferred to another site within the reservation where the former deputy was situated. The increase in the prison population has affected the segregation system, several foreign-funded projects that the prison reservation. Among them, the halfway house and juvenile training center, both projects are supported by funds from Japan through the representation of the Interdisciplinary Committee of NAPOLCOM. So let's move on to Bilibid prison. Next, we have Davao Penal Colony. The Davao Penal Colony is the first penal settlement founded and organized under Filipino administration. The settlements, which originally had an area of approximately 30,000 hectares in the districts of Panabo and Tagum, Davao del Norte, was formally established on January 21, 1932 by virtue of Act No. 3732. This act authorized the Governor General to lease or sell the lands, buildings and improvements in San Ramon Prison and Iwahig Penal Colony. It also granted authority to the Secretary of Justice to establish a new prison and penal colony in a suitable public land. A budget of 500,000 pesos or $500,000 was allocated. Several committees were created to pick a suitable site for penal settlement. And this is a picture of a Davao Penal Colony. In accordance with the recommendation of these committees, Governor Dwight Davis signed Proclamation No. 414 on October 7, 1931, which is serve as site for penal colony in Davao Province in Mindanao. The site offer ideal conditions for agricultural activities. During World War II, the colony was converted into a concentration camp where more than 1,000 Japanese internees were committed by the Philippine-American Armed Forces. The Japanese were treated in accordance with the orders of the American commanding officers. And this is the Davao Prison main camp. So you can see in the picture. On December 20, 1941, the Japanese Imperial Forces attacked Davao and the colony was among the establishments taken over by the invading army. The entire settlement was thrown into confusion and a great number of prisoners escaped. Normal operations were inevitably disturbed. November 8, 1942, a representative of the Director of Prisons transferred the colony and its properties to the Japanese authorities. The remaining colony employees, their families, and the inmates evacuated to Ihawig where they organized the Davao Penal Colony to at Inagawan Sub-Colony in Palawan. So this is the picture, guys. The organizations of the colony and exiles authorized by virtue of Memorandum Order Number 60 dated June 28, 1940 and assigned by the Director of Prisons. After the liberation of the Philippines, the colony in exile in Palawan returned to its site in Davao. A great deal to rebuilding the repair had to be done because the war had almost completely destroyed the colony. So next, the Blind Prison and Penal Farm. Nearer to Manila than other penal colonies, the Sablayan Penal Colony is located in Occidental Mindoro and relatively new. Established on September 26, 1954 by virtue of Presidential Proclamation Number 72, the penal colony has a total land area of approximately 16,190 hectares. Prison records show that the first colonists and employees arrived in Sablayan on January 15, 1955. Since then, several buildings have been constructed, including the colonists' dormitories, employees' quarters, guardhouse, schoolhouse, chapel, recreation hall, and post exchange. And this is a picture of Sablayan Prison Penal Colony, Central Prison in Occidental Mindoro. Three sub-colonies were later organized. One is reservation, which this day remains part of the protective rainforest. Another is in a coastal area. The third was used by the national government as a relocation site to refugees from the eruption of Mount Pinatubo eruption in 1991. Sablayan Prison is a facility where prisoners from NBP are brought for decongestion purposes. It follows the same colony standards as other penal farms. And this is a picture of their farm also. Also this. So we have last two pages. Unlike any other of the usual penal colony, the prisoners here are almost enjoying their freedom. Instead of being locked down inside concrete structures with metal bars, they can roam around the area without so much restriction. They are also made to till the land area so as to have their own supply of at least basic food requirements for during their stay. Prisoners are also allowed to build their nipa huts. And since it has a mix of different religion, churches and worship houses were constructed to cater various religions of the prisoners. So this is a picture, guys, and this is the last. This is my last my 101 ma'am slides, and that's all, ma'am. God bless and thank you.